you have a limited inventory of tire and wheel programs. We have a limited inventory, and we're running out. This is the last one we have on the shelf, so you better buy it now. We can't do that, as it turns out. So, what I want to talk about today is this is what I see as I travel the country. I see very little inventory on the dealerships lots. I see cars spread out where they were really actually close together. I see showrooms empty. It's kind of depressing for me to walk into these showrooms and see this stuff. I can imagine how everybody on this webinar feels sitting in that environment. We just got off the phone doing a personal training session, or what we like to call now a roundtable, and we discussed there's so many things that we can do to keep occupied during these times, and there's so many things that we can do to elevate our performance. And what I want to talk about over the next 45 minutes or so is how to elevate our performance in F&I. We've learned that just because the vehicle's not on the lot doesn't mean it can't be sold. And that leads to a number of pre-orders. In fact, I have a dealership currently that has over 450 pre-ordered vehicles. So as I was putting this webinar together, I kind of Bob Dylan theme came into my mind, and my wife Gina said to me, "Gerry, they're not going to know who Bob Dylan is. Some of your audience, you're showing your age." Well, when I first got in the car business, I used to ask myself, why would someone buy a car from me when they can go down the street and buy the same car for somebody else for the same or lesser price? Always ask my question, that question. But because the times they are a changing, as Bob Dylan would say, the times they are a changing, I now ask myself, why should someone order a car from me when they can order it down the street for the same price or lesser price? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. It's blowing in the wind. Unbelievable. You have to create a competitive advantage. Now, it can be subtle or it can be big, but you got to draw people to your dealership. And what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about gaining it, sustaining it. I mean, gaining it, maintaining it, and sustaining it. And F&I's role in this whole pre-order process. Here's the deal. To win over your prospect, you need an edge. You need an advantage, or you need that reason that differentiates you from your competition. Now, because everything or most deals are done online, your competition could be 200 miles away from you. You don't even know who your competition is at this point. So, on your website, through your dialogue, verbally, texting, email, you have to have that competitive advantage. You have to give that customer that reason. And I think one of the main culprit things is you just realizing the times have changed is not enough anymore. You have to make the change. You have to be committed to change. There's a new way of doing business. There's new things that we have to do once we take that pre-order to keep the customer engaged with us and keep the deal alive. I think product knowledge is power. So I think we got to double down on our product knowledge, not only as sales consultants, but also as finance managers. I think it's important that we actually know our products even more, because we're not doing presentations in front of people anymore. We're not describing the benefits or features of products in front of customers anymore. So we have to glamorize a little bit more. We have to know more about it. We have to be able to answer the customer's questions quickly and upfront and direct. I think professionalism inspires prospects to action. So I think we need to train on the basics. I think we need to become professionals in the way we communicate with customers. You know, Damien, we've used the lasting first impression, how you got to look like a professional, you got to act like a professional, you gotta speak like a professional, and you gotta talk like a professional. I guess speaking and talking like a professional are the same. Bottom line here is you need to make a lasting impression, an impression that lasts. And I think professionalism definitely inspires a prospect to not only do business with you, but to stay in the pipeline with you. We have to rethink the goal of the sales call, especially as finance managers and sales managers. It has to become more than just setting an appointment. We're going to sell cars over the phone. We're going to sell cars over the internet. We're going to sell cars through email and text. And we as sales F&I managers, we need to take the reins and we need to instruct and ensure that we're taking the deposits from the customers, not the cashier, not the sales consultant, not the manager. But once a deal is consummated over the phone, that gives us as a finance manager an opportunity to contact the customer, introduce ourselves, collect the down payment, and tell them what's next. So I think that role is something that we hadn't done in the past. I mean, some of you may take deposits now, but on the pre-order, think about it. How has the business changed? And I'll ask for opinions on this. Um, I kind of get discouraged when I go into some dealerships and I see that the desk is actually submitting deals. And I often wonder, why does the desk submit deals? And especially in this pre-order environment, you know, the customer's writing an order on a car and the desk is maybe checking credit at that point in time. And the F&I managers have no idea what's going on. That scares me. And I think, I wonder why. And I think it's because of all the whining that's gone on in F&I and the time that it takes to spin a deal in F&I, and dealers feel that having the desk submit the deal eliminates the log jam or whatever you want to call it, the time it takes to do a deal. We got to take that back, is my point. We have an opportunity now, because the deals are in the pipeline, to actually investigate that customer's credit. We have an opportunity now to go out and meet and greet a customer and tell them we're the we're the subject matter experts when it comes to the financing of the vehicle. I'll be in touch with you once the vehicle gets closer to being delivered. I think it's really important that as financial services managers, we change our mindset and we get involved in the deal as early as possible. We'll talk more about that as we move along. So that was the point I'm trying to make. Additionally, I got to open this up a little bit more. All right, so you got to positively engage your customer, Goya. Rethink the goal of the sales call. It has to become more than just selling an appointment. Proactively engage with your customer, the Goya. Get off your axle, get off your ass. Go out and meet and greet a customer. Call the customer. When you hand it a deal, don't just stick it in a deal jacket. Make sure you contact the customer. Tell them who you are. Tell them what you do, and tell them what's next. Be part of the ongoings of the pre-order deal. That's my point. Make a video. Make it a priority in your communication. Create that personal touch. Look, John, you said it earlier in the last session we did, how that go-to meeting is going to demand that you have a video and that you have a mic. I think it's important that you communicate to your customer that way. People are used to that. They're used to Skyping. They're used to go-to meetings and FaceTime and Duo and Zoom and all that stuff. And I think that personal touch adds a lot, because you get to see the customer semantics and stuff. You add a whole new dimension to the sales process. Another thing is, have vehicles available for test drives. That's another reason why the customer should visit your dealership. Get your sales consultants into the habit of saying, have you test driven the vehicle yet? We have one in stock. And I know dealerships that actually will not sell a particular vehicle, especially some of the most popular vehicles. They'll use them as demos and give them to the sales to management, so that they have them available for test drives. I think that's a really good advantage. That's a key advantage to getting the customer engaged and getting the customer to your dealership. Because let's face it, once they get to your dealership, now you have the opportunity to close the deal, set a pre-order up, and to get F&I involved and maximize the profits. And then finally, you need to embrace the latest technology. You need to deliver the sales experience that the customer wants and expects. The days of calling customers, tug of war, not giving them information, so on and so forth, those days are long gone. So, in addition to that, maximizing F&I outcomes on pre-ordered vehicles. This is what we're going to talk about. This is an actual deal file at a dealership of mine. 450 over 450 pre-orders. Now, hopefully this works. Okay, let me know if it does, Damien,
Okay.
because typically this is what happens once we take a pre-order. Do you see that video, Damien?
It's opening. It's revealing itself. Hit play.
Hit play,
Well,
baby.
John, Thank you for choosing
Can
Best
you hear
Auto
it?
Plaza to place your order for the new car.
It's a pleasure and thank you for being upfront with me.
As I mentioned, the ETA is about 3 weeks away. I'm going to hand the paperwork to my financial services manager, and if he has any questions, he'll be out to see you or call you later.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
What you got, Bob?
I have a pre-order. ETA in a few weeks.
Okay, I'll look it over and give the guest a call.
Could you hear that, Damien?
Well, John, thank you for choosing.
Whoa! Did you hear that?
We did, yes.
What do you think?
I like it. It's a pretty
Isn't
good
that
app.
how the F&I department's like on an island when it comes to pre-orders?
That's exactly right.
So we need to change it up a little bit. And I want to start with the buyer's journey. We've talked about this before. Every buyer goes through this. It's the active research process a potential buyer goes through leading to up to a purchase. They go to awareness stage. I think I want a car. What set it off? Who knows? All right. I think I need a car. I want a car. Whatever. Then they go through the discovery stage where they start to do research and they start searching out the models, the makes, the type. They might know exactly what they want and they start looking for dealerships and sales consultants they want to do business with. And they draw that to the decision stage. And then finally it comes to the delivery. The problem is that the traditional F&I involvement always happens at delivery. And I've seen this breakdown so many times. Just the other day, I'm in a dealership and the sales consultant brings in a deal that was ordered a month ago, hands the deal to the finance manager and says to the finance manager, John, I don't know. The customer is undecided on how much money they want to put down now. They said they were originally going to put down 2,000, but they're undecided. The F&I manager takes the deal and says, when are they going to be in? And the sales consultant says they'll be in at 4:30. And John says, okay. I mean, the finance manager says, okay, we'll deal with it when they get here. I looked at the finance manager. I was sitting there with him, and I said, why aren't you calling this customer? And the finance manager, now I know what y'all thinking. Yeah, why aren't you calling this customer? But mediocrity is like a disease. It leads to mediocrity. When slow times, you forget those things that you should have done, hastily. Call the customer. Why? To determine their down payment. Obviously, they have questions about whether or not to put 1,000 down, 500 down, or $2,000 down. Answer that question so you're not answering that question when they come in. Expedite the delivery. How much better off will you be? Okay, so maybe that's an extreme example, but my point is we have to close that gap. We got to narrow it down. Finance managers, in order to maximize their potential on any deal, whether it be pre-order or on the spot, we have to close the gap. We have to get involved with these deals. We have to have communication with the customer. We have to form a bond, a connection. How do we do that? We do that by the 3 R's. We talked about the 3 R's before. How we recognize what we have, how we respond appropriately to what we have, and how we relay all the information that we got from the customer to everybody involved. So, number one, we got to manage the customer's intentions, whether they're going to the credit union, whether they're financing, whether they're leasing, whether they're paying cash. We have to address their questions over interest rates, over terms, over credit worthiness, over leasing. If we are in fact the subject matter experts and we don't get involved in the deal early, those are questions that are being unanswered, are answered by people who don't know the right answer. Once we determine the ETA on the vehicle, we need to respond appropriately. In other words, how are we going to respond to the customer on a vehicle that's coming in 3 months? What information are we going to give them? What are we going to talk about? This is really important because this is how you form that connection with the customer. And based on their intentions, the questions, the concerns, how to respond to that. Maybe the customer placed an order on a vehicle and they're unsure if they're going to lease or finance the vehicle. And here we are as a subject matter expert telling them right now, if you were to finance the vehicle, you have a better, rebate. Or if you were to lease the vehicle, you have really good lease rates. Come 3 months from now, that could all change. So let's have another conversation as soon as the car's built and get closer to delivery. That's the type of communication that you should be having with these pre-ordered customers. And quite frankly, we have a lot of pre-orders. And then once you gather all that information or determine the customer's intentions, what you discovered, what you discussed, and what's next has to be discussed with everybody that's involved in that deal. Those are the three R's. Now you can use the acronym RRR, whatever you want, but the number one thing I'm trying to get across here is, number one, recognize what you have as a finance manager, respond appropriately to what you have, and then make sure they communicate all that information to everybody involved so they communicate back to you. It takes a commitment from you, F&I, to contribute throughout the sales process. Maximizing F&I potential and profit will be determined by your willingness to modify your approach and implement a process that grabs and holds your customer's interest throughout the sales process. It's that simple. So I don't know what you're doing now, and I hope I'm giving you some suggestions on how to enhance your connection with the customer, how to enhance you or improve your willingness to get more involved in these deals. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I not getting involved in these deals? What's preventing me from getting involved in these deals? What apprehensions are, you know, what what do I fear about getting involved in these deals early? What can happen? I have the answers, I think. Have a plan of action, whether you do it in person, on phone, or through video conferencing. You need to embrace an immediate pre-order F&I introduction where you establish a connection with a customer, whether it's through the phone, on the phone, through video conferencing, or in person. You have to provide immediate F&I awareness to your customer, because I'm going to tell you something. A customer places an order today, the car's not coming in for a month. What do you think they're doing? You think they're sitting on the couch waiting for that car to come in? No, they're doing all their research online. In fact, 90% of car sales start online. They end up in the brick and mortar eventually. But you think that customer is going to stop everything because they put an order on a car? We need to be more upfront, transparent, and straightforward with information to our customers. We need to tell people what we do. In fact, I have a few F&I managers that we do a lot of personal training with and do webinars with them on a bi-weekly basis, who actually hand their customers a menu, or highlighting the features that they will offer them, or the features that are available to them once the vehicle comes in. And it just opens the door to F&I awareness. I want you to think about how many times a customer sat in front of you on a pre-ordered vehicle and said to you, man, have I known that before, I probably would have done something about it. I need time to think about it. How many times has the sales consultant walked up to me and said, Gerry, these customers don't know what's going on in F&I. Why isn't F&I telling them? This is really important in today, especially in today's, the way people buy cars today. Think about it. That customer sat in there, sat and waited for their car to come in, and you, at the end of the day, at the end, once the vehicle's on the lot, or once the vehicle's in, now you come into the picture. They're saying to themselves, "Where were you the whole time? I've already discussed stuff with my credit union. I've already discussed stuff with my own bank. I already bought a service contract. I already signed up for this." Stop it. I have a dealership I was in, Little Rock, Arkansas, just last week. Dealer principal looks at me and goes, "We do 40% cash deals." I'm like, 40% cash deals? That's unheard of. Are you sure they're all true cash? He said, "Well, I'm not sure they're true cash." So I took a look at their F&I log with him, and sure enough, only 7% of them were true cash. The rest were outside liens. Why? Because the customer has made that decision while the vehicle's being pre-ordered. They called their bank. They looked and researched credit unions and interest rates and signed up for loans and did everything, by the way, at home. All they needed was the VIN number and the miles and who they're buying it from. You need to heighten customers' expectations during the deal's progress. Provide them with video, product videos, articles, and persuasive information for when the vehicle comes in. All you got to do is ask your partners that come into your dealership, John, Limo, Steve, Damien, myself, any one of the Anna McMillan's on the line, any one of your partners, your vendor partners, whatever, to get this information and assist you in getting this information. They can provide you with product videos. If the customer has some interest in a service contract, send them a video. If they have some interest in a service contract or tire and wheel, send them some of the articles that we've shared with you over time on these webinars. That's persuasive information. And then when they come in, throw the menu at them, give them a great presentation, and then be prepared to handle their rebuttals. Be mindful of the cost of giving and withholding information. This is an important point. A lot of finance managers are unwilling or apprehensive about giving information prior to the customer coming into the dealership because they fear the consequences. That the customer is going to go out and research what they said and get a better interest rate or get a better price on a service contract. Listen, don't fear the reaper. I'm all about songs today. Be upfront, be transparent, because if you're mindful of the cost of giving information, you can deal with the consequences better because you'll know how to rebuttal or you'll know how to address the customer's concerns when they call you back and said, that service contract you told me about, I can get for $2,300. I can get a rate of 1.9% at ABC Credit Union. But because you gave the information to the customer, you have more credibility when you go to rebuttal them. So be mindful of the cost of giving and withholding information. That will make you better prepared to deliver the goods. Now, deliver a world-class experience. This is a dealership as a whole. And how do we do that? Don't deliver the product, the car, the truck, the van, the SUV. Deliver the experience. Create that lasting impression. Set realistic expectations with your customer. Make sure you answer all their questions in an open and transparent manner. Get there early and often involvement from you, the finance manager, in the transactions process or progress. Provide every customer with financial services awareness. Let them know who you are, what you do, and what the expectations are. Get involved. Have your financial or have yourself follow up and follow through on your commitments and the conversation you have with your customer. Give every customer the Dimpty. How can you say you gave the customer a Dimpty when you didn't take the time to call them or you didn't take the time to leave your office on these pre-orders? And for those of you who don't know what the Dimpty is, make sure the customer feels that they do matter to you. The Dimpty is nothing more than do I matter to you? Because once the customer gets a sense they matter to you, it's game over for the most part. Be sure the sales consultant or the sales associate follows through on their responsibility. This is a fact. Sales consultants as eager to deliver that car as the customer is to pick it up. And throughout that pre-order process, all the sales consultant is hopping on is where's my car? Where's my car? Where's my car? The same way the customer is. And every inkling that the car is being built or it's on its way, they're sharing with their customer, unbeknownst to the finance manager, sales manager. And then that truck, the car carrier, ends up on the lot. And the sales consultant runs out to that car carrier and looks at the driver and says, let me see your ladle, the slips. I want to see if my car's on there. And before the car even hits the pavement, what do you think that sales consultants do on that vehicle that just arrived? They're running back into the showroom. They're calling their customer. And one of the first questions they ask after they say to the customer, your car's here, is when would you like to pick it up? And the customer says, today. And the car isn't even off the truck yet. And the next thing you know, the sales consultant is bringing the finance department the deal, telling the finance department, the finance manager, when the deal is being delivered, instead of the finance manager telling the sales consultant when the car is going to be delivered. This is bad, okay? Make sure they follow through on their responsibility of communicating with you as to how and what they communicated to the customer. Pull them back and say, look, there's a 48-hour rule. Once the car hits the ground, you can't deliver the car until 48 hours, making sure that we prep it or whatever. That's just, I'm throwing something out there at you as a best practice. You need access, finance managers. If you don't have it, get it. You need access to the CRM tool in your dealership because that's how you're going to communicate as a team. The CRM is the pulse of the dealership. You need to know before the sales consultant gets a hold of it what's going on with that deal. You need to communicate with your sales department. It's all part of that 3 R's. You need to communicate with your sales managers. You need to be part of that deal, and you need to be part of the responsibility of getting that deal delivered. Now, here's how we close the gap. Customer places an order. You got to plan, prepare, and perform. How many times do we bring this up? Plan, prepare, perform. Number
At least,
one, what's that?
at least a dozen times.
So introduce yourself as a financial service manager. Review the details of the transaction with your customer. Collect as much vital information from the customer as you can. You collect the deposit, whether it's done over the phone, or in person, or through PayPal or whatever. Review present and future incentives with the customer. Some manufacturers will lock in the incentives. Some will only do the incentives that are at the time of delivery. So you need to review this with the customer. And because you're the subject matter expert when it comes to the financial services department, and you introduce yourself that way, and you say you're going to be part of the loop, and if there's any changes, I'll be the first one to notify you and give you the alternatives. You're part of the deal, and inform the customer what to expect next. Exactly what I just said. Mr. Ms. Jones, just want to review the transaction with you. Currently, you plan on leasing the vehicle. That's great. I have all the information that I need. In fact, I got a pre-approval, which is good for the next 60 days, 30 days, whatever. I'm going to collect the $500 deposit. Once the vehicle gets here, you can decide how much money you want to put down. You indicated you want to put about $2,000 down. I can tell you right now, this is a really good incentive. If anything should change, I'll call you back. And you might not hear from me for a week or two. You might not hear nothing for a while. But once that vehicle's in transit, you can hear a lot from me. All right. Thanks for the business, and I'll talk to you soon. Next thing you want to do is you want to follow up on those expectations. You want to collect additional information if you need it, if the customer didn't provide it with you that day. You want to state the current incentives when you call the customer. You want to solidify or determine the customer's payment desires if they were unsure when they first put the order in, and you want to tell them what's next. Next thing is the car's on the truck. It's on its way here. As soon as it hits the lot, we're going to PDI it. In other words, prep it, pre-delivery inspection, make sure it's all set for you, gas it up, clean it up, call you in, and deliver the car to you. So prepare yourself for the delivery. Set up the delivery with the staff, confirm the delivery with the customer, and verify and gather any additional information from the customer that you need. And you've communicated with that customer 3 to 4 times before that customer even hit the lot. Now you're securing the delivery, setting the appointment up yourself. You have a connection with that customer. Think of the consequences. How it's going to be so much easier to deliver the goods because now you know the customer's intent. You've given the customers the best information, and the vehicle's ready for delivery. You're ready to go. So what you do is you just complete the transaction. You have all the non-essential forms ready for when that customer comes in, so they're not waiting 3 or 4 hours for you to print up the paperwork. You present the ownership and lease enhancements, your menu presentation, you finalize the paperwork, deliver the car, maximize your F&I potential. That's how it's done. Communication is essential. You need that CRM tool so you can look at the pipeline, see the status, follow up, tell everybody what the next step is, follow through, and you'll be alerted when something changes. Communication, all departments, sales, management, finance, BDC, service. It's so easy to communicate today through texting, through emails, through alerts, so on and so forth. That is the key to your success. Finally, this is how it should be done. Is that good to go, Damien?
Yep.
John, I know you have spoken to Justin, our financial services manager, over the phone, and I know he'd like to meet you now that you've placed an order with us. Let me go see if he's available so you can say hi.
That would be great.
Okay, then I'll be right back. Well, John. Meet Justin. Justin, meet John.
Hi, John, nice to meet you. I'm glad that everything worked out and thank you for the business. Nice to meet you too, Justin. You've been very helpful. I know the vehicle will be arriving in a few weeks, so I want to give you some information on the lease enhancements I shared with you over the phone. I'll follow up with you as soon as I know the vehicle is in transit. I'm sure Bob will keep you up to date on any new developments.
That's how it should go. So, don't get bogged down in excuses. Right, Damien?
That's correct.
So there's a new, unique blend of motivation, enthusiasm, creativity, and get off, get up and go that works. It's called Goya Nectar. Comes in two flavors, orange or mango. Pick your flavor. The only thing standing in the way of your improvement is the bullshit stories you keep telling yourself as to why you can't progress. I love that. Listen, the pitfalls of being unprepared. As a finance manager, I'm going to share with you if you're not prepared, if you didn't plan, prepare, and perform. Well, if you didn't plan and prepare, you can't perform well. Not establishing common ground with a customer. Establish that common ground with everybody, your sales staff, customer, sales management staff. Stop pre-qualifying. If you don't gather and verify information from your customer, that's what ends up happening. You pre-qualify. Your assumptions can lead you down a dead-end road. Not exposing a potential need. Having a conversation and conversations throughout the pre-order sequence or transaction, you will expose a potential need. The customer will become more open to the questions that you ask them and give you information that exposes a potential need. That's essential for when presenting options to the customer. You won't be hurried. You'll have everything prepared. The customer won't be hurried. The sales consultant won't be hurried. It'll be a much streamlined, smoother transition. And you won't be blindsided. You won't be blindsided by credit misses. You won't be blindsided by deposits or structures or so on and so forth. Because you're part of the deal, you have a golden opportunity to maximize your presentation, maximize your potential. So drink the nectar, and you won't lose credibility because throughout the time you got involved in that deal, you had credibility. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, establish and maintain a pre-order financial services process procedure that you follow through, that you use consistently. Create that competitive advantage. Talk with your general manager, talk with your vendors, vendor partners, and ask them to help you in creating a competitive advantage. I want to give you an example of a competitive advantage that we've installed in some dealership. It's a giveaway. It can be as little, as big as lifetime warranty or as little as 6 months of a program, maybe key replacement or a 1 month or maintenance giveaway. It's just that competitive advantage that draws the customer to you. Utilize the latest technology. That means video conferencing. Work around the 3 R's. Make sure that you recognize what you have, that you respond appropriately to what you have, and that you relay all the information on what you got to everybody that's involved. Because communication is in fact this essential ingredient. To just take a pre-order and then all of a sudden leave F&I out of the realm until the car gets there, you're not maximizing anything. In fact, you're undermining your effort to make money. And I don't care how much money you're making right now in F&I, you're losing. And then set yourself up for success. Common sense tells me if I get involved in a deal early and I work through the deal and I communicate with the customer and I develop a bond or a connection with the customer, I'm setting myself up for success. It's just that simple. So I have to follow up and I have to follow through. End of the day, it's all about the Goya. Get off your axle, get off my ass, and make it happen. So with that said, I'm going to open it up for some questions. I really appreciate your participation, and hopefully I can get the screen back on so I can see everybody. Let's see.
Jerry, I
Any
just want to add
questions?
some. No, Jerry, I just want to add something to that. John and I were
Sure.
in a Porsche meeting last week, and they were talking about the interaction that the customer has once they do the orders. They're logging onto the app, and they're seeing their car being built and along the way, and where what steps of the process is there, and the amount of engagement that there was tremendous, and the feedback that Porsche was saying that they get on their app. It's just that keeping the customer engaged after the purchase order was made. So I agree, and definitely would definitely give you the accolades when it comes to that, keeping the customer engaged after they purchase that purchase order or after they have that purchase order, for
One
sure.
of the things you have to remember, you're absolutely right, Steve, because one of the things you have to remember is if you have nothing to say or anything, whether you have something to say or nothing to say, just the fact that you took the time to contact the customer, I think is good enough. Because sometimes the customer will share with you where they're at or what they found out, and now you're having a chance to overcome it. If you don't know what's going on, then you're in big trouble. Um, this dealership I have, this Toyota dealership that has over 450 pre-orders, they actually have a game plan and they give information. Just contact the customer, and they only have a 4% loss ratio on those deposits. I mean, that's incredible. It really is.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, they're delivering cars like crazy. So I want to send a happy birthday out to Sam Kelly. Happy birthday.
Happy
Um,
birthday.
happy birthday. Outside of that, I don't know what else. I thought this was a really good. I just thought it was appropriate for the times we're in right now.
Did you
Limo?
did you get any feedback from the agent summit where you presented this?
Yeah, you know what they said? They said you're one of the few trainers, coach, one of the few trainers that actually give instead of just saying what is wrong, you give examples on how to improve it. I'm like,
Well,
all right, well, yeah, okay, all right. I get it. Yeah, they really, it's true. I mean, basically, we lose sight of the importance of getting involved early. I mean, typical traditional F&I managers, we're really good at what we do. We can take it when a customer's only waiting 24 hours for a vehicle or on a spot delivery. But when a customer's sitting at their home for a month, 2 months, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months, there's a lot going on. And if we're not involved and all of a sudden we lose track, it doesn't matter whether you have 400 deals in the pipeline or 60 deals in the pipeline. Your willingness to get involved is only going to enhance your F&I profits.
well, in that light, this recording will be available for everyone, as well as the presentation that you went in your product dashboard for this course. And Gerry, I thought it was a great presentation, and thank you for your time. Does anyone else have any questions?
Anybody? I really, sorry about the, go-to meeting is going to get a letter from me. So, I could say something, Goya, go to. Can't you want us before, like send us an email saying these are the new changes? We got to open it up and then go, boom, what happened? You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to mimic Zoom. That's what they're trying to do.
They are.
All right, man. Wonderful webinar. Look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful Memorial Day. And hey, Goya, all right? You can find that nectar at the Product Prep variety store at your local gas station. And it's in the economy section.
ShopRite.
Right? Right now, the only flavors we have is orange and mango. We're coming out with a guava.
Guava. Perfect.
Guava. All right?
Great. Thanks,
Okay.
Gerry.
Yeah.
Great stuff,
Thanks so
Jerry.
much, Sherry. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.